Howdy folks, the Kaiju Cowboy here with a giant monster movie review. Today, Kong Skull Island. Kong Skull Island hit theaters in February of 2017, was directed by Jordan Vogt-Roberts. The film stars Tom Hiddleston, Samuel L. Jackson, John Goodman, Brie Larson, and John C. Reilly. Set in post-Vietnam 1973, soldiers escort a scientific expedition to the newly found Skull Island to explore the island and reveal its secrets. That secret, a gigantic ape named Kong, is king after suffering heavy losses against a giant ape. The survivors look to escape Skull Island, but Kong isn't their worries. There's other creatures hiding below the surface of the mysterious island. Those creatures, skull crawlers.
I never said that name out loud before. It sounds stupid now that I say it. Just, you call them whatever you want.
Kong Skull Island is the second film in the legendary Monsterverse and is directed by another newcomer, Jordan Vogt-Roberts. Again, like the 2014 Godzilla, another fairly inexperienced director is at the helm of a giant blockbuster action film. However, again like the opening film to the Monsterverse, the inexperience of Vogt-Roberts is not seen anywhere on the film. Kong Skull Island is full of vibrant colors, beautifully shot frames, and gorgeous scenery. You can tell Vogt-Roberts did his homework. There's a lot of classic homages and tributes to all the Kong films in the franchise, from the 1933 classic to the 70s movies to the 2005 remake, as well as the Toho films of the 60s. Callbacks and Easter eggs are everywhere for sharp-eyed Kong fans. One of this film's best achievements is the cinematography. The colors of this film are just beautiful, notably the first real scene of Kong when he attacks the helicopters arriving on Skull Island. The sun is setting in the distance, you see the silhouette of the giant ape as the helicopters hover towards him, and it's just awe-inspiring. This whole scene is like a roller coaster ride at Universal theme parks. When I first saw the scene, I felt like I was back on that tour bus on the Universal Studio lot, and King Kong was grabbing hold of the bus and shaking us with his mouth right there ready to take a bite out of the train. You get that same feeling with this film and that opening action scene, and it's a lot of fun. Kong Skull Island is a near-perfect matchup of B-movie giant monster action and Vietnam War films, and is easily one of the best chapters of the Kong franchise since the 1933 classic. The film takes classic Kong tropes and flips them on their head. No longer do we see Kong being transported from Skull Island. This whole film takes place on the island. We're not worried about him falling off the Empire State Building in this one. Another trope that's erased is the blonde femme fatale that Kong has to fall in love with and rescue here and there. While Brie Larson is a blonde, their relationship is more of mutual respect than lust and infatuation. You're not going to see Kong bathe this woman in a waterfall. Nope, none of that. Just mutual understanding of what their characters are both striving for and discover about themselves internally. Another great aspect of this film is the music, soundtrack, and score.
What kind of music is that?
You got a great score from Henry Jackman that bolsters the action scene, builds on the epicness of how big this Kong really is, mashed together with classic Vietnam-era music that lets you know where this movie's set in the timeline. Combining the cinematography and the music and the score, this really feels like Apocalypse Kong. Now, unfortunately, one of the downsides of this film is the human side of things.
Whoa. No need for that. Come on now. Everybody keep your wigs on now.
While there is a great character in Marlow who's played brilliantly by John C. Reilly, the rest of the characters are pretty superficial. There's not much more under the surface to these characters. They're kind of just stereotypical. You got the hard-nosed and stubborn military commander in Samuel L. Jackson's Packard character, and you got the mysterious, gruff scientist who knows more than he's letting on in John Goodman's Bill Randa.
Monsters exist.
While both those big-name actors give performances that you expect, there's not much left for them to do with the script they're given. Furthermore, Tom Hiddleston and Brie Larson's characters really don't add much to the film. Tom Hiddleston kind of plays a character modeled after Jack Driscoll. He's kind of the hard-headed man that means business and gets things done, but there's really not much more to his character than just being a badass. Brie Larson plays the controversial wartime photojournalist that butts heads with Samuel Jackson's military leader because, well, if you know the story of Vietnam, In the 70s, soldiers weren't very happy with photojournalists, that's for damn sure.
Camera's way more dangerous than a gun.
Now, like I said before, the real strong point of the human side of things is John C. Reilly's Marlow's character. He really connects both the real world and the Skull Island world, as he's this trapped soul on the island who's been there for decades. Marlow brings the comic relief, but also the expertise to help these survivors get past the dangers of Skull Island that appear left and right. Without a doubt, John C. Reilly also has one of the best lines in the film. And I don't know if it was in the script or if it was just improv by John C. Reilly, but those giant ants in the trees, you better watch your ass.
There's one. Sounds like a bird, but it's a f***ing ant.
Now, enough about the humans. Let's talk about what we come to these giant monster movies for. The giant monster action! Where the first film in the MonsterVerse franchise faltered, Kong Skull Island picks it up and runs with it. And that's with a lack of real giant monster action. We got giant monster action coming out of the yeehaws around here. Kong is brilliantly brought to life with Weta Workshop and ILM's beautiful special effects that is well deserved of their Oscar nomination. You can really see what this character is feeling just by the look in their eyes and the snarl on their face. And every hair on Kong's furry back is beautifully illustrated. You really feel like this is a giant monster living on this island. Another great example of this film's stellar special effects is a moment where Kong is holding Brie Larson's character in his palm, and you see all the lines and the cracks in this giant monster ape's palm, and it just looks more real than you've ever seen Kong on the big screen. The lines of his fingerprints, the scars from his battles in the past, you just see the history and humanity in this character, even just by looking at his hand. But Kong's not the only big monster in this giant monster movie. There's other great monster designs, including the Skull Crawler, which is a great homage to the classic King Kong from 1933 and a reimagining of a monster from that film that we didn't really see much of. That monster was only seen for a split second in the 1933 classic, but I love how they brought him to life for Kong Skull Island and built on the monster's design. They live in the underbelly of Skull Island. They have eyeless faces that are covered in a skull-like exoskeleton. They got a long tongue for snatching victims and bringing it to their jaws full of sharp teeth. Another giant monster that's featured in this film is again another homage to the 1933 classic, which is a giant spider that lives down in the crevice where the log falls. We never saw the scene. It was recreated in the 2005 remake by Peter Jackson, but there's a giant spider with crab-like arms that is amazingly brought back to life in this film, and it's flippin' scary, especially those daddy long-legged spear legs. Holy cow, look out! It would have been nice to see Kong and this giant spider go head-to-head, but unfortunately that spider only interacts with the human characters in this film. Maybe in future sequels we'll see something like that when we explore Skull Island further. Now the main event of the film is Kong's fight with the giant skull crawler, the big one.
That's the big one.
And boy does that deliver. This fight scene really shows you how big of a threat these skull crawlers really are to this 100-foot giant King Kong ape. It's a tough fight. The skull crawler is, I think, a little bit bigger than Kong, at least leverage-wise. It's an awkward weight. It's only got 2 legs and a long, slithery tail that it likes to wrap around Kong's neck. Makes for a great fight. But hey, Kong's a thinking animal. He's smart. He knows how to deal with something like this, and he puts himself together some weapons to help him dispatch this foe. This battle between Kong and the giant skull crawler is easily one of the greatest fights in all of giant monster movie history. It's definitely worth a cowbell. When it comes to grading films here at the Kaiju Cowboy Ranch, there's one way we do it, and that's how much firepower does this film deliver to the audience out of a 6-shooter. Well, Kong Skull Island, you get 5 bullets out of a 6-shooter. Woo-wee! With stunning visuals, beautiful locations, great giant monster designs, just enough comedy from John C. Reilly's character, and a beautifully designed Kong that's brought to life like never before seen on the big screen, and non-stop giant monster action. Kong Skull Island delivers what every giant monster movie fan is looking for. It takes B-movie giant monster action to an A level. It's hard not to fall in love with Kong Skull Island and just have a good old-fashioned good time when you're munching on some popcorn. When it comes to popcorn flicks, Kong Skull Island delivers. That does it for this review. Let me know what you think of the review in the comments below. And what was your favorite design from Kong Skull Island? Was it the giant spider? Was it the skull crawlers? Or was it Kong himself? We all know where I stand. It's Kong himself, right? So let me know in the comments below what you think of this entry into the legendary Monsterverse. And if you liked this video, don't forget to like and share it with your friends who like giant monster movie action. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell to get updates every time the Kaiju Cowboy launches new videos on the channel. Until next time, don't drink downstream from the herd.